Alex, I almost forgot. I'm sorry. It's Thursday. Let's do a sound check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
Oh, we can hear you so well. It's almost like you're here.
Sweet.
Actually, it's even better because you're the only one whose face we can see. All right, welcome. Glad this is all working out. We've got a bunch to do today. I gave you a little bit of chores to do here. Okay, first thing, there are a number, we usually take this time to give you some announcements and events. There are also a number of opportunities that we have through the Center of Innovation Entrepreneurship for students to explore INE, but also there's some great opportunities we have to explore your own growth. And the University Innovation Fellows is a cohort of students that's developed every year. It's competitive, you apply. It's a group of freshmen, first years that come together. And then throughout the next year, they go through a structured program to develop an idea that will be somewhat useful and impactful for Loyola or the surrounding community under the mentorship of somebody from the design school at Stanford, right? So there'll be a faculty person from Stanford that leads the students through this. The project culminates with a student conference in Palo Alto at Stanford with students from around the country. This is an international program. So there'll be hundreds and hundreds of students that get together and be able to apply what they learned through design thinking, maybe some hacks and some activities, but also an opportunity to be able to explore the Silicon Valley. There's field trips to Google and Salesforce and places like that. The reason I bring it up is that there's an info session about this. So this isn't like, hey, I'm all in and you're committing, but if you'd like to know more about it, there's an info session on the 8th at 1 o'clock. You can scan this code. I will put this under an announcement in our class, so if you want more information, you can do it. You can also email me. I'm happy to give you some more information about it. One of the things that I really like about this program, in addition to the design thinking that we all get to go to Stanford in the spring, is that you develop a cohort as a first year that stays together throughout your time, right? And so the first years this year will be mentored and guided and interact with the University Innovation Fellows last year, the year before. The seniors this year are the last group that has gone to Palo Alto. Last year, obviously, in March wasn't a great time to travel. So it'll be, you'll not only have an opportunity to learn about all this stuff as a first year, but also remain together and be able to provide guidance to the folks that come after you. So it's a really nice program that we do through the center. And I wanted to make sure that you knew about it. Again, if you can go, if you can't make it on the 8th at 1 o'clock, get with me and I'll get you the information. All right. Okay, so today, a bunch of things. We're going to start out with storytelling, and we're going to popcorn around the room and with a challenge. And so I'm going to tweak this a little bit. I'm going to ask you for a challenge and an unknown from your Odyssey plan. All right, it's one of the unknowns that you're starting to think about. And then we're going to start, as I said, we're going to start to pull these things together. So we're going to combine your introduction and your challenge choices and your outcomes. So it's kind of workshopping that and giving some feedback. I'm going to introduce the whole story, the public story of self, and your introduction. And then we're going to work on challenge choice stuff. So we've got a bunch of stuff going on. So okay, so let's popcorn. We will start it here in the room. Oliver, we'll start with you. Tell me a challenge that you are addressing that has to do with your work in your life, you, and an unknown that you're considering that you would like one of your one of your Odyssey plans to address.
A challenge is after my computer science degree, I don't know what career path to take. And that's unknown that I will like any of the options.
Okay, very good. Who do you pick next? Adi. Adi, we miss you. Where are you? Who's your backup plan?
Did you say Juan?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. So my challenge is that I'm kind of thinking of switching majors. And what was that one?
What's the unknown in terms of
Yeah.
your Odyssey plan you can consider?
The unknown is where I am gonna study. I feel like I don't remember go afterwards. That's where is it kind of take me?
After you make your decision or after you go
No, after
to your major? Okay. All right, good. Who do you pick?
we're doing online, right? I'll take Nick.
Nick, we miss you too. Where's everybody?
My camera's also not working. I tried to set it up, but it just
Why we
won't.
need you here. That's why there's no camera needed here. I provide that.
So one of the challenge choices I came up with was like where specifically to work in a hospital, like what city or what hospital to go to.
Okay.
Outcome I came up with was just to do my research and compare them, but I am looking more towards the Boston area, so I feel like that's a good place to start.
I've heard there's some hospitals there. So let me get this straight. Your challenge is, so it sounds like your unknown is where you would like to live this life that you're kind of moving forward on. And your challenge is doing the research.
The choice is definitely between the hospitals, and the challenge that I'm giving myself is doing the research and making a decision.
Okay, so I want to reframe that a little bit, Nick. I appreciate the direction you did. I appreciate the direction that you're going here. So it almost sounds like you're challenging yourself to do the research as opposed to a challenge that you're trying to overcome is not knowing where you're going to live. You see the distinction between those? So if there was
Pretty much exactly what I
somehow,
was going for.
if there was somehow something standing in the way between you and getting online or exploring options, hospitals and neighborhoods in Boston, that would be a challenge. Right? But I don't think that that exists. I think you can pretty much maybe have already done that. So what will be your challenge? If your unknown is, I don't know where I'm going to do this, what is the challenge?
Find a place that has everything I'm looking for.
Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Who do you pick?
I will pick on Carson.
Okay, so a challenge that I'm facing is finding a good internship program for engineers and just doing the research for it. And then my unknown would be specifically what type of field that's going to be in, because I'm still completely open to every type of engineering right now.
So you mean like civic, mechanical, electrical?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. All right, who do you pick?
Oh, would you like me to pick someone from the class or staying online?
Either way, your choice.
Okay, I'll pick Isabella because I can see her.
My challenge is deciding what major I want to go into. I'm currently majoring in forensic studies, but I
Yeah.
also find that I'm interested in.
Okay,
And then the unknown would be just like what I want to do, like would I have to like take the bar if I want to go into law or like, you know.
okay,
that stuff.
okay. Who would you pick? So I'm gonna ask you a question here. And this is a rhetorical question. And I think that the activities that we're gonna be going through over the next month and a half will be very helpful to you. Why do you have to choose between forensic sciences and nursing? The reason, don't answer that.
Okay.
That literally is a rhetorical question, right? Kevin Duffy, who was in this class last year, a very smart guy. He's like, I don't know if I want to go in accounting or law school. And I asked Kevin the same question because you can go through Loyola University and get an accounting degree, and you can still go to law school, right? You don't have to choose. Now, what he is doing is he's looking at things to determine whether law school is something that he wants to do. But I think that by doing that, so just knowing a little bit about forensic studies and what it takes to go to nursing school, right? You don't have to choose, right? So the challenge that you have, and the way that we reframe the question, it's a lot easier to have a yes and. So can I do forensic studies and nursing? As opposed to I have to choose between forensic studies and nursing. Right? That is a totally different mindset, right? So I appreciate you bringing up that example because I'm sure there'll be more than one. But that's exactly the purpose of what we're doing here. Right? Because my sense is that you're asking that question because you may not know the pathway to become a nurse, right? Which is why your academic advisor, who's an allied health person, could probably help you. Okay, who do you pick?
Alex.
Alex.
So my challenge is acquiring the skills that I need for the job I want.
Which is what?
Either CIA, Homeland Security.
Okay.
My unknown is what field I'm going to join.
Okay. And when you say which field, you mean CIA, Homeland Security, FBI?
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you pick?
Did Hadi go?
No, we just called out. Hadi, welcome back. We miss you.
I'm here.
I know we can see that now. What's the challenge you're facing?
So like the field I want to go into is optometry. So I'd say the challenge is if I am ready to go through all the schooling needed for that. And then the unknown is if that's the actual field I actually want to do in my life. And then the solution would be
Don't worry
starting
about
to
the
do more.
solution. Don't worry about the solution. Don't worry about the solution. Just looking for a challenge and an unknown. You've
Yeah.
fulfilled your requirement other than picking somebody else to go.
Wait, what?
Hadi, it's popcorn. Pick somebody else, dude. You're done.
Popcorn Alejandro.
So my challenge is whether or not I'm willing to go through all like the studying and courses to get my CPA license. And then the unknown is whether I want to continue with my CPA license and go private sector or go to law school and the type of law I want to pursue.
Okay. Who do you pick?
I'll pick Ethan.
All right, so my challenge, and sorry, my camera's not working. I don't really know why. But my challenge, I'd say it's kind of like Carson's. I'm looking for internships right now for the summer and next school year. And the field I want to go into is design, but right now the major internships that they have are like graphic design and like graphic art. So I've never really done that before, and it's something I have to decide, like, whether I want to kind of branch on into that new field or if I have to, pick a new kind of go research more. And, these are internships at like Disney and small design companies around my home, but like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't really know yet.
You're unknown. You're unknown, Ethan,
I'm sorry.
but you're unknown.
Oh, I'd say my unknown is probably whether I'm going to get the internship or not. I don't really know who I'm up against, so
Okay. Who do you pick?
I'll tag on Sydney.
I would say the challenge is basically finding what I want to do. Like so far, I applied to like the Baltimore Police Department, but the unknown is whether I would want to stay with them or go somewhere else.
When you say what you want to do, Sydney, what's the context there? To do what?
Like job or career rise.
Okay, so to get a job in the Baltimore City Police Department, that's or the FBI, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, but the unknown will be whether I want to stay there or not.
What does that mean when you say stay there? Stay with that as your choice, or you
Yeah,
got a job there and you're gonna stay in that job?
I guess in the area, because like the cadet, it's like a cadet program, so you're not a full police officer.
So it's staying in the program, not, okay, so there's a cadet program, there's like an internship activity program in Baltimore City Police that you're looking to go into.
Yeah.
Okay, and your challenge is whether you're gonna get into it?
No. Well, I'm kind of already in. It's whether I want to stay there.
Okay, do you want to stay in it? Okay, and then your unknown, how is your unknown different than your challenge? What is your unknown?
Where I'll basically end up working.
Okay, I got you. All right, who do you pick?
I can't really see who's in the classroom.
Caroline.
My challenge is like deciding what major I want to go into, and I guess like my unknown would be.
Why? With us.
My unknown would be what exactly I'm interested in, because I feel like it's a lot of stuff I like, I just don't know what I want to like center on.
Okay. Who do you pick?
I said my challenge was figuring out what type of law I want to pursue.
Okay,
And then I said my unknown was whether I should focus on like an internship for my major, which is international business, or look more towards like something in the law side, so I can get to know what.
okay, what kind of experiences do you want? Okay, very good. Who do you choose?
I'm kind of in the same boat as one. I'm not sure if I want to stay with this major, but I'm probably considering changing engineering. I guess my unknown is what I want to change to. 100% sure yet.
Okay. I think Abby. You the only one, Abby? Okay.
So mine was similar to Isabella's, where it's between art and forensics. But it's more between having a major in forensics and art minor, or just focusing on art. I'm not sure which I want to do. And there's also the pressure from my parents, because my parents both went to school for art and both of them like don't go to school for art.
Interesting.
So, which is very easy to have successful jobs in art. So, but my unknown would be whether I could undergo everything a forensics career would entail.
Okay. All right, so thank you for doing that. Just want to talk a little bit about some distinctions. Okay. So if we think about a challenge, so you're doing your personal story, right? And there's a challenge, a choice, and an outcome. We've talked about all those things that outline. It's a challenge that you're facing, something that you have to confront and overcome and consider, right? So there'll be choices that you can consider as to ways to possibly overcome or deal with this. I don't know what type of law I want to go into. What are your choices? Good criminal law, family law, the civil rights attorney. There's all these different choices that you have, or maybe choices that you might use to explore those things. Okay? And then the outcome would be I decided to take an internship in, or I decided to, if we were doing this a little bit later on, I decided to take some elective classes in law school, in family law, and the outcome is I'm going to have a successful family law practice in a suburb of Boston where I can go to the beach on the weekends, right? That would be a potential outcome, right? So those are, what are you facing? What is a challenge that you are facing? I don't know my major. The challenge is I have to decide my major, or I have to decide between, like a number, I have to decide between a couple of things. That's a challenge, right? The unknown is similar, right? The unknown is similar, and the unknown, as you know, is a downstream process in the Odyssey plan that really is something that you don't know. So what you might not know, I may not know the differences. Carson, I'm just going to use you guys because you have engineering issues, right? I do not know the difference between mechanical and electrical engineering. And if I don't know the differences, I'm not going to know which one I'm going to enjoy more. What of your unknowns might be? I don't know if I'm going to enjoy. I don't know if I'm going to make enough money. I don't know if I don't know if being an artist is going to be able to support the life that I want to live. I haven't met your parents, but my sense is that might be something they're considering, right? So they're similar, but what I'm going to ask you to do, and in particular, when we're putting together our public story, what is a challenge that you are facing? I don't know. I don't understand. I can't do something. I'm having a hard time with it. Right? Okay. So what I want to do now is I'm going to give you 3 minutes to put together, and I think you had some time to work on this. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I'm going to ask you to write down a challenge that you're facing that has to do with your work view, or determining your major, your course of study throughout here at Loyola. Identify at least 2 or 3 choices that you have that you could explore to be able to help solve that challenge. And what would you like the outcome to be? That outcome, I'm going to get an internship that I enjoy, could be. That outcome could be, I'm going to be more sure about a path forward. Right? And you could decide a different type of engineering or a different major in sciences altogether, but you might not, you don't know any more about whether you're going to enjoy that now than what you have. Right? You know it won't involve differential equations, most likely, but you won't know how much more. So there's some things to figure out there. Is that clear? What I want you to do? Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes to work on that. Okay, another 30 seconds. Alejandro, lead us off. What is your challenge, your choices, and your outcome?
So my challenge is whether whether I'm gonna have the necessary skills and perseverance to go forth with getting my CPA license.
Okay.
And then my choices.
Yeah.
What do you mean by choices?
What is your understanding of choices, given the work that we've done over the last 3 classes on challenge, choice, outcome, and your public story? What is your understanding of what a choice is? In
Oh,
your
like
public
what are like the available like outcomes or things I can choose from?
Well, yeah, what are the
Like,
things
what's
you can
available
choose
to
from
me?
to maybe get to your outcome? So what are your choices?
My choices are like having like programs to prepare me for the CPA license. So at Loyola, they have like these programs where you work with current like CPA licensed professors,
Okay.
and they provide you with like the books and materials so you can take the exam.
All right, that's a choice. What's another one?
Another choice is going off campus and involving myself with like people who already have their CPA license at like private and public firms.
To do what?
To prepare me, because they already went through all the necessary steps to
Okay.
obtain and pass their exams.
Okay. And what would you like to see as a successful outcome?
An outcome is I pass with a high score, I get my CPA license, and then I get a job at a private firm and I earn a higher salary.
Okay. All right, so, right, what you have now are the components of a great public story. All right, when will you be concerned about getting your CPA license?
When will I be
Yeah,
concerned?
when's that happen? When do you start worrying about that? Well, obviously in March of your first year, but in reality, when does that start to be a real thing?
My junior year.
Okay. Okay. The only thing that I would add to you, and this is just to kind of keep it a little bit more focused, is if your goal is to pass the CPA exam, keep that as your focus, right? Because when you introduce at the end the job and the money and the type of firm that you want, those are all nice, and I'm sure getting your CPA license will help you to get that, but those kind of take away from the focus of your story, right? So just make sure that what I'm going to ask you to do, if getting your CPA license and if passing the CPA exam, that's what you told us that's what the challenge was. If passing your CPA exam is the challenge, I'm going to ask you to define an outcome based on the passing of that exam. Does that make sense?
Okay, that makes sense.
If getting a job in a private CPA firm in a place where your mom can still come and visit you and you're making a lot of money, if that's the challenge, then your choices would be different. So I'm not saying that that's not something you should be working on, but in this case, I'm trying to keep you a little bit tighter in line, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Isabella, what is your challenge, choice, and outcome?
It's the same challenge, right?
Can be.
Okay, I guess the same challenge. So the challenge is like if I want to study law or nursing,
Okay.
and then what is the outcome?
Your
Or the-
choices, what are the choices that you can entertain to be able to overcome that challenge?
Okay, well, I'll do more research. That would be one, and then talk with Yale, get like a little game plan, I
Understand
guess.
what's necessary, okay, good.
And then maybe like take classes that will help both majors, so that I can kind of like see what I want to do. And then the outcome, like if I were to take the bar or like the NCLEX or whatever, it'd be to pass it. That'd be an end result.
Okay. Good. Well, or getting into nursing school. I mean,
Yeah,
there's two
okay.
potential outcomes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. You could even say, if we walk that back a little bit, I think both of those would be fine. I think it would be a long story. But you could even talk about if your challenge is deciding, what will it feel like and what will you have done when you make that decision? Because for a lot of people, just the relief, the euphoria, the excitement, when you do have a path forward or you have that clarity is a big deal, right? So I don't want to diminish that at all. So if your challenge is deciding, and the choices that you're going to come up with are to decide between those two, your outcome will be that decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do one more. Caroline, maybe your challenge, choice, and your outcome, please.
My challenge is deciding exactly what I want to major in. Like choices would be like stuff I'm interested in, like business, psychology, and law. And then the outcome would be finding what I'm truly interested in and pursuing that as my major and then a future career in that.
Okay, so you've actually framed it that way. You either shifted gears really fast, or that's the way that you talked about it. So your outcome is the actual decision, right? Okay. You see where we're going with that? Okay. Now, remember that the components of your public story are the challenge, the choice, and the outcome. But you also have to introduce yourself and what you're about, right? That provides the context of your decision and this struggle as to what major I'm going to decide, what career that I want to have, what internship I'm going to get. So the introduction that you have already completed for this course that talks about your values, your work, your life view, and where they came from, that 20 or 30 second introduction is the lead-in to your challenge, choice, and your outcome, right? Unless it's a James Bond movie where the lead character is on the wing of an airplane trying to kill an international spy, most movies have an introduction of the character, right? Most stories have an introduction of the character before they get into the challenge that's facing them, right? So what I'm going to do now is give you 3 or 4 minutes, and I would like you to actually write this down or type it, whichever you want to do. I would like you to take a look at your introduction. It really does need to be 20 or 30 seconds. Okay? And then I want you to state your transition right in and to say, a challenge that I'm facing is, and state your challenge, your choice, and your outcome. So what we're doing now is we're combining these 2 steps. And in doing that, we are taking the next step to developing the beginning of your public story, right? Which will be the activity that I'm going to ask you to take care of this weekend. So I'll give you a few minutes to take care of that. Those of you online, you clear with what we're doing? There's a bunch of you today. I'll take that as a yes.
finance, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like a challenge choice. So it's basically.
Yes, all that is the same, like the challenge.
No, like, I'm just the introduction goes towards the rest of it. Just like that. Is it like the intro of the? Yeah, I'm not sure how story is doing. Yeah, no, I think it's we like slides and it was like this thing, like. Who you are. Like, but we're basically doing our stuff. That's good. Yeah.
I don't know the time. Minute, 2 minutes. What do you think? Okay, another 30 seconds. If you have a question, is that okay? Online, another 30 seconds, is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
We all need more neon. Carson, if he's got a good story, I'll let him tell it.
Oh no, I don't think he has a good story, but he's just saying hello.
All right, Carson, you're all hydrated. Lead us off. Tell us about give us your introduction. Be good to check in on Lori again today, and then bring that into your challenge, choice, and outcome.
Okay, so just to confirm, the introduction is what we did for our mind maps, correct?
Yeah, if
For
you
my-
want to shorten that up, or you want to tailor it a little bit to your challenge, choice, and outcome, that's fine.
Okay,
All right,
pull it
I mean,
up.
that's, if you're fussing with engineering and you're talking about calculus, I don't think that should be a tough stretch. All right, so go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Carson. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a freshman at Loyola, and my intention is to major in engineering. So my core values is family first, never give up, and always do everything with a positive attitude. And a story to where these values came from is when I was a sophomore at Leesville Road High School, which is in Raleigh. I decided to switch out of my pre-calc class because I didn't think I was ready to take it. My mom was disappointed, so she sent me to a 6-week-long summer class at Enloe High School to get credit. I ended up passing and then coming back to school and failing calc because I just didn't feel like I was ready and I was unsure what I wanted to do. Then finally getting here at Loyola, I was able to secure a B in the class. A challenge that I'm facing right now is what field of engineering I want to study, specifically at school. And some choices I have to explore that challenge is finding by experiencing the fields, by participating in like an internship or shadowing people I know in the engineering field, and also conducting some more research. And what I want my outcome to be is to be satisfied, interested, and excited about my decision that I've made.
What kind of feedback do you have from Carson? What kind of language did he use that connected or conveyed emotion? Anybody? What did you hear from him? Okay, so he stated his values, and his values, hey, if you're a family person, we know there's a number of you in this course, that would be a shared language. Good. What else? What kind of words did he say that conveyed emotion? Somebody online, what kind of words did Carson use that conveyed emotion? What will his outcome be? What will Carson's outcome be? Addie, what will Carson's outcome be? This goes well. Yes, he will know what he wants to do. And what is it that he's choosing between? Okay, so he's choosing between the different types of engineering. He will know that he has been successful because he will be excited about it. Did I capture that correctly, Carson?
Yes, that's part of it. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, what's another part of it? You'll be excited, and what else?
Satisfied. And
Satisfied.
also, mhm.
Right? There's some emotion there, right? That he's conveying to you what that will feel like when he has succeeded in reaching his outcome. Carson, I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback. Your introduction took almost a minute. It's an awesome story. So what I'm going to ask you to consider, what are the main points of that story? They are that you didn't do something, your mom wasn't happy with it, she made you do something else, and you learned something from it. All right? So what I'm gonna ask you to do is I'm gonna ask you to cut 20 seconds off of your story. So there's probably a few of the steps. And what I'm gonna ask you is, how can you capture that interaction with your mom and what she taught you and what it was like in a much shorter period of time? All right?
Okay.
All right, and again, that is not a criticism of any piece of that story. But the thing is that when you go past 20 seconds to 25 seconds, you will lose your listener, in which case you're only conveying half your story anyway. So let's pick the half that you want to make sure somebody is going to hear. Okay? Less is more. Very good. Abby, tell us your story.
My name is Abby O'Malley, and I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. I'm the youngest of 3 girls, and I've been taught to take advantage of all opportunities in order to pursue my dreams and what I have a passion for. I've been challenged with determining which type of law I want to pursue after graduating from Loyola. And in order to determine which field I want to focus on, I plan on using my undergraduate electives to expose myself to different types of law and figure out which one best fits me. And then I'll also use my resources that I have to like chat with people and interview them in order to get a feel of what it's like in that field. And with this in mind, the outcome, I'll eventually be able to make my decision, have a peace of mind, and then start practicing and ultimately pursue my passion.
Okay. What's Abby value? Thank you for doing it. What's Abby value? What do you value, Abby?
Last thing, you're like just taking advantage of opportunities.
Okay. Taking advantage of opportunities. Good. And what are the choices that she has? What did she say? Okay, let me change the question. What are your responsibilities as a reviewer to be able to provide active, considerate feedback in a classroom of creative competence? What's your first responsibility? Listen, okay. What's your second responsibility? Broad feedback, right? Understand the values, what they're trying to say. What's your third? Third. Give me another one off the list. Somebody online, give me a responsibility that you have as the reviewer in providing peer feedback according to our friend Chisholm.
As a reviewer, you're supposed to focus and pay attention to what they say so that you're able to give positive feedback and positive criticism.
Positive feedback. Very good, Carson. Thank you for that, because you want to make sure that they're receptive to what you're saying. Thank you with that. And then at the end, what do you want to do? Providing detail in areas for improvement, right? So after all of that. So the next question I'm going to ask, which is a rhetorical one, why aren't we doing that? Why are we doing that? Right? We've gone through a lot of work to be able to create this situation where we can do that. Well, I'll address one of the reasons later, but so keep in mind how terrified or how self-conscious a lot of you are about speaking up and telling your stories in class. Think about that. We've had that conversation. That's the conversation we had last Thursday, right? Who's going to say something? Well, Dr. Romani, we're really not sure. We think that there might be some repercussions and there might be some judgment, even though there's not really here. I understand that. So put yourself, have some empathy, right? That's a design. So somebody just gets up there and they do it. They talk about themselves. And then there's no feedback. So you get nothing for that. Right? Abby gets nothing for that. Carson gets very little for that. You have a responsibility as the presenter and as the reviewer. My expectation, to be very clear, and I think it reiterates an ongoing theme, is that we'll do that. Recognizing that it is hard to tell your story, to convey emotion and what you're about in front of a group, even of your peers that you've known for a year, pretty close. Right? So, what we will do, I'm going to have you spin, Oliver, and you can talk to Evan. Have the three of you just kind of spin together. Juan and Addie, you can spin. Teams online, I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. And what we want you to do is to go ahead and present your stories just like you did and provide some feedback one-on-one. You'll have about two minutes for each group and then switch. Carson, I'm going to throw you in with the group as the third so you can provide feedback since we've already given you feedback individually.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. You can spin. By yourself? By yourself? Nick, where are you? Yeah, I can hear you. I got you. All right, I'm going to throw you in with Sydney. Hang on a second. Please hold.
And right now, my challenge is like, being able to get a major and not decide what I want to do in the future so that being able to provide my family,
Hi, boys. You can give me a test 1, 2, 3 there. Let's try to figure out do you have a pillow over your microphone by any chance? Or did you spill coffee on your microphone?
Oh, we're really. Oh, no. Oh, you're slow. I did it one shot.
Oh.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you guys in to the other chat room. You can both provide feedback, and Alex, you can chat your feedback. Sorry about that.
Oh my God, yeah.
I like my emotional life so okay. We don't want
Yeah. So Carson and Alex are going to provide feedback. Alex will provide through the chat. His microphone's not working. So Sydney and Nick, you can get some feedback on their presentation.
Yeah, I'm literally like, yeah, we're on this now.
How you doing, fellas? You go. What is what that valley? Okay. What's
I went too, but
Okay.
I didn't get up.
Where does choices
I feel like
from
sense.
computer science?
Well, we know one thing, we'll try it.
You can do it right there.
But I think with what
Better options because.
I prefer like one to get out. Yeah.
And then like you could.
Yeah.
Where's choices?
They have the rest of it. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. My sleep's gonna be so good. That was so messed up.
Oh my God.
Think about.
Yeah, do a lot of things. But like me, I wouldn't like lunch, and then the rest of the day was over.
So, right now.
Yeah.
The engineers are away.
Yeah.
You have another choice. If money is actually no option, so given. And then when I would ask. You said yourself, I guess that's still a choice, you just said that. But how do you tailor that? So you like it, so we start to talk about what the experience is like.
Oh, yeah, but it's not bad. Wait, I think you're starting to laugh.
People like not like.
I know that was.
What are Isabella's choices? You're the fastest responder. Yes, I did not even see. Right there. I did not even finish the question. What are Isabella's choices?
Well, she was talking about like deciding, exactly what she wants to choose, like, I guess like for her future career and stuff, and she was talking about like nursing and then like law, and like things that.
Okay. And what are your choices? Like, what are the things that you have? Okay, so you rattled through a couple of them. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What are attitudes to stuff?
Well, her challenge, I'm interested in this thing, like exciting, what exactly she's interested in.
I think she also mentioned that she wants to like take classes or like do electives that will.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what she said. I'm going to use my elective too. Right? Okay. So the reason I bring that up is because she has like a number of people that are busting information. Your goal in this, the rest of this course will be to have that framework. And so your one of those things, right? Law. Right? And then we're going to go through and say, what don't you know? So I don't know how to law. That is an unknown. Right? But we're going to pick 3 of us, right? What we hope to be able to do, and use this idea of realness and prototype. So not only, I agree, you should take electives and go to clubs and, meet with people. By the time you're done, you're gonna be able to tell us which ones, right? Which electives, are there courses in the core electives? Right, it would give you a better, is there a poli-sci course, or is there a course that would give you some insight into what kind of life, right? So that would be, so in general terms, you're there now, right? With you, which how you also all of these things that we will identify that are specific experiences that you will prototype and you will put down on the plan and put on the pictures that we were across, that will be more detailed. Right. How's that group doing on that? Okay, welcome back, most of you. We lost the three fellas. Okay, that's better. Okay, so hopefully that was useful. One of the points that I made here in the room that I'll make to everybody. Carson, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. One of the points that I made is a number of you that are exploring a major or a distinction between majors or a career are talking about courses or people you might like to see or internships, right? And so I think those are great challenges and those are great choices that you have to fill those challenges or to overcome those challenges, and then you'll have your outcome. What we're going to have the opportunity to do in the Odyssey map is that one of those things that you're doing, and Alejandra's not with us, so I won't use it as an example, but Abby is considering law and she's not sure what kind of law. Evan is interested in engineering and Carson are interested in engineering, but they're not sure what kind of engineering. So that thing you do, that first Odyssey plan that you're going to do, yeah, bring him in. He can come in. We give him free advice. He can buy the book. That thing you do is going to be that major. Yeah, we got, I mean, there's more of you guys in that room than people that are supposed to be in the class. Hey, how you doing? Good vibes.
Dr. Amani, you've attracted a big audience today.
Yeah, I'm going viral on one camera. That thing that you do will be an exploration of that major that you're interested in. And what we have an opportunity to do in the Odyssey plan is to create a pathway and experiences to get you through to experiencing, graduating with that major or having a career that involves that major. I'm also going to ask you to identify things about the experience, where you're going to live, what your role will be, what you'll be getting out of it. And so rather than I'm taking classes or electives, I'm going to meet with somebody, I'm going to explore an internship. Part of this process will be identifying which classes, which internships. There will be a list of people, and we'll start with this in the 4th hour as we get on Loyola Connect, that you'll be talking to about these. So right now, in general terms for your public story, it's fine, but what we have throughout the rest of the semester is an opportunity for you to put together a detailed plan to explore these things, right? And that's how these two pieces are coming together. So I want to get back to the Odyssey plan. But first, for Saturday night, what I'm asking you to do this week, we've just gone through it. Describe a challenge you have faced or currently face related to your life or work view. You just did that, right? Why was it a challenge? Why was it your challenge? List the choices that you have to deal with it. And then what will the outcome be? What will it feel like? As you put that up in a forum, what I'm going to ask you to do is to post it as a video. Probably have to do it as a link, right? I know that depending on how you tape it or video it, it might be bigger than 100 megs. Just put up a video and just do what we had Abby do, what we had Carson do. Go through those things, and then I want you to provide feedback, written feedback to at least 2 of your classmates. And again, the goal there is not just to hit and run, is to get the feedback and get out. I'd like there to be a conversation. So check back in. This will be due at midnight on Saturday with the Nick rule. I will keep them open until noon on Sunday in case there's people you want to provide feedback to going into the next morning. Yes, sir.
When we provide feedback, does it also have to be video?
No, I'm sorry, that's a good question. So Juan's question is, does the feedback have to be on video? No, the feedback can be written, right? Just as a post comment like you've done in the past. Okay? So this is what we had you look at since Thursday with the Odyssey Plan workshop, right? So I asked you to go through and do 1 through 4. Right? Ideas, themes, and patterns, and a plan that you're working on. Right? The next piece with that, right? We've gone through and you've identified the unknowns. That's how we started today. Okay? The next part is how you reframe those unknowns. Are you stretching or do you have a question? Okay. How do you rephrase the unknowns into questions, right? Because when you have questions, then you can create experiments to be able to solve those unknowns. And that's really what we're trying to do. If we go back to this thing, if you think back to really successful companies that use failure or a design mindset, the really successful companies don't just fail for the sake of failing. When they create an experiment, they're going to do it so that if it fails, there are things that they are going to learn, right? So that's the mindset that we're trying to take here. And so this is out of your book. I've paraphrased it a little bit to go with what we're going to do. But the idea of the how might we question, right? Translating, in this case, your insight statements, your unknowns into opportunities, reframing them as how might we. Right? Couple of questions. We talked about framing and scope in the beginning of class, right? If you have a question that is too big, too broad, how might we solve poverty in Baltimore? That's a great question, right? But that is so big that we would never, there are just exponential answers that we probably would not have the resources to do. But at the same token, if we ask, how might we collect litter in a vacant neighborhood lot? Well, there's one answer to that. You take a bag, you bend over, you pick it up, and you put it in the bag, right? So that's probably too narrow. So when you're thinking about your questions that you are going to want to answer throughout the semester, will I enjoy being an accountant? What strategies will I need to put myself in a position to pass the CPA exam? To be one of the 12% of people that pass it on the first time. Scope matters. And so what we will do leading in over the weekend, what I want you to do is to take your Odyssey maps, your Odyssey plans. I want you to fill out all 3 of them now, right? So for today, I had you do that thing you do. So I'd like you to do, what if that thing you do wasn't there? What if money and stature didn't matter? So go through and do steps 1 through 4, and then I want you to take it to step 5. What are your unknowns? How can you create questions around your unknowns? And that's where we're going to lead off on Saturday. On Tuesday. The other piece we get to on Tuesday is we start to draw, right? So what I would like you to do in your storyboard, excuse me, in your Odyssey map plan, I would like you to start to put together your choices. What are the plans? What are the paths? What are the things that you can do to get from where you are right now with that challenge, those unknowns, those questions, to where you're going to be, successfully passing the CPA exam, choosing the major that I want to, deciding what kind of grad school that I want to go to, right? Over 5 periods of time. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can start now and just kind of go, or I like to do it. Where am I? Where am I going? What are the things that I need to do to go there? So I actually, when I do a calendar or anything like that, this is my end point, and then walk backwards and what are the steps that I need to do to get there. Because I might not know what internship I want to take until I go to some club meetings or take some electives, right? And I might not know what electives to take until I talk to some people, right? And the idea is that you're setting this up. If the first column is where we are right now, the second one is what we're doing the rest of the year. The third one is what's going on next year. To the point, what are you doing when you graduate? That's what those 4 columns are going to signify. Some things go between, right? So I would like you to start writing, you don't have to do pictures, but writing some of the options that you have. Don't worry about the timing so much. Just start saying, what are the things that I'm going to be able to explore to figure these things out? Okay? So right now, I have to run back. So I just need to.
Thank you, Dr. Ramani.
Thanks, Carson. We were after 4:09. Thanks, Evan. Sorry for you off.
No, it's okay.
Just happened to be a day I was told off.